and welcome to the Aud Pod, an exclusive podcast from the Office of the Washington State Auditor. I'm Mike Carter with the communications team here at the State Auditor's Office, and today I'm speaking with Kelly Collins, SAO's Deputy State Auditor. Today's podcast is a special By the Numbers edition, in which Kelly and I will be discussing some interesting facts and figures related to the breadth of our work and community outreach. Hello, Kelly, and welcome.
Hello. Thanks for having me on, Mike.
Thank you very much for being here. We really appreciate it. Before we dive into the numbers, I thought it might be interesting for folks listening to hear a little bit about your experience at SAO and how you got to where you are today.
Absolutely. Well, I joined the State Auditor's Office right after college. I went to Western Washington University up in Bellingham and joined as an entry auditor position. And over the years, I've been with the State Auditor's Office for 33 years. So over the years, as my technical skills grew and my competency grew and I developed, I grew in my different roles and responsibilities and eventually became into a manager position where I was able to oversee other staff doing audits. I eventually grew into a director role. I was the director of local audit for 10 years, which means I oversee several teams across the state that do the local government audits. And then now in this last year, I've been the deputy state auditor. So it's been a very exciting ride, lots of new roles and responsibilities along the way. And it's always been very interesting. And I can't believe it's been 33 years.
That's great. I didn't realize you were a Viking.
I am a Viking, yes.
Excellent. I love Bellingham. Cool. All right. Well, now to the numbers. And for those of you listening, I basically have the easy part. I'm going to read a number, and Kelly will tell us what that number represents, along with more context about its meaning. A quick note, all of these numbers are drawn from our fiscal year 2025 annual report covering the time frame July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Great. All right. The first number, it's a big one, 2,967.
Well, believe it or not, Mike, that is the total number of audits that the State Auditor's Office issued in the fiscal year. That's the highest number I've ever seen us issue for the State Auditor's Office. Typically, we've issued, from 2,400 to 2,700 audits, and this is an all-time high. I'm super excited about how big this number is. But what people should know that all our reports are issued on our website. They're public and available. And so if anybody wants to look at any of the audit work that the good folks at the State Auditor's Office do, it's available to them to see. I know when I talk to CPA professionals across the state, they're just simply amazed how much work we produce. And so it's an amazing amount of work. Covers about 2,300 local governments and about 100 state agencies and commissions. So it really has quite a broad spectrum of governments that we audit. And then there's a whole lot of different types of audits that we do. We do financial audits, federal audits, accountability audits, cyber audits, and so on. So it's a lot of work.
We do have a very robust audit search tool on our website, which is great. So you can go in and search by keywords and government types and all that kind of stuff and find what you're looking for. All right, the next number up, much smaller, but still very important. Number is 14.
So in this fiscal year that we're talking about, we published 14 performance audits. And I know folks may think that's not a very large number considering the big number we just talked about, but performance audits are very in-depth audits. For example, we were recently asked to look at the federal low-income housing tax credit program in Washington, and that we found that some projects overseen by the state housing finance included an option for people in low-income housing eventually to buy their homes, but no one had actually become a homeowner in that program yet. So it was a way more drilled down type of audit, can take quite a bit of time to complete. But the performance audits can look at almost anything from the effectiveness of state programs to the cybersecurity of colleges or local governments. And they are authorized for the public. So voters approved Initiative 900. And they asked our office to look into the efficiency and effectiveness of government programs. So that's what the performance audits do. And so you'll notice if you track our performance audit output from year to year, we do cover quite the array of different topics.
All right, next number, slightly more, but still incredibly important. The number is 18.
So 18 represents the number of fraud investigation reports we issued in the fiscal year 25. So there may not be a lot there, but they're always a big deal when we issue these reports because they're about the loss of public funds. So we investigate all suspected losses, but that work doesn't always lead to a published report. For example, in fiscal year 25, we undertook 91 special investigations, which resulted in 18 fraud investigations. So there's an assessment process of the intake of what we received until what actually produces into an investigation. Combined, those reports identified about $2.3 million in misappropriated public funds and about $500,000 in questionable transactions. We're always working to help government prevent fraud through training and resources, and then governments need strong internal controls to protect those public resources. So State Auditor Pat McCarthy likes to say, we trust but verify.
I know an important part of that is having certified fraud examiners on staff. And at last count, I think we have more than 30 of them.
Absolutely. I'm a certified fraud examiner as well, and we are continuing to promote that development of the certifications in office. The SAO is a learning environment, and we promote professional certifications. So we're really excited when people get their CPAs or CFEs.
Okay, next up, number 34.
34 is the number of different local government types in Washington. A lot of people don't know that. There's so many different types of government in Washington. And we audit them all. So like cities, counties, ports, school districts, fire districts, public utility districts, even mosquito district is a local government, as well as diking and drainage districts. But there's even more than that. But every government, no matter who they are, is required to file an annual financial report with our office. And then we take that information and we make it available to the public through a tool we call the Financial Intelligence Tool. Sometimes you might hear it called FIT for short. Through that tool, you can explore the revenues, expenditures, and the financial health indicators of hundreds of those local governments, all online on our website.
Yeah, that's a fascinating, great tool. I know if you go to sao.wa.gov/FIT, FIT, it'll lead you right to it. I'll give a shout out to library districts. We go to the library all the time, and to hospital districts, which when you need them, you need them. All right, the next number is 47.
So we issued 47 use of deadly force investigation audits, which is a unique type of compliance audit in the nation. In fact, I think we're the only state that I know of that does this type of audit. It's, as part of the recent police accountability reforms, the legislature asked us to audit the work of independent investigation teams. And so let me walk you through the process. If a police officer uses deadly force, for example, if they fire their gun at someone, state law requires an investigation by an agency independent of the police department that was involved. There are independent investigation teams across the state set up to conduct those reviews. When their work is done, they forward the results to the county prosecutor, who determines whether the use of force was legal. We don't opine on whether the use of the force was appropriate. We audit the investigation. We provide the public with an objective view of whether the investigation met the standards of the State Criminal Justice Training Commission. So that includes 4 broad standards for investigation. They must be independent, credible, transparent, and communicated to the public and the family of the person involved. They're a very interesting audit report. I would encourage anyone to go online and to read those.
All right. Next number up is 59.
So, Mike, we conducted 59 cybersecurity audits last year. They are a special type of audit. They look at the security posture of a state agency or local government. Cybersecurity audits look for a weakness in government cybersecurity and propose solutions to strengthen those systems. We actually have a wait list for some of our cybersecurity audits, and they are a great way for governments to review their cybersecurity and prioritize improvements at no cost to them.
And needless to say, but I'll say it, cybersecurity is really critical in this day and age. And kind of as a added service along those lines, we offer free cyber checkups. Could you speak a little bit about those?
Absolutely. Since our wait list is so long, we provided an assessment tool. It's called a cyber checkup, in which governments can go through a checklist, in effect, and verify that they have some key areas of control in place, like policies, good business practices as far as user access and stuff like that. But it's a tool that people can use. It's, again, free at no cost, but it's an exciting area because cyber losses is the biggest area of loss in government for the last 6 years running, in dollars as well as reporting to us. And so we definitely want governments to utilize the resources that we have available to them.
All right, now we're into 3 digits. Next number is 207.
So, Mike, that's the number of events the State Auditor's Office took part in. We do an amazing amount of outreach, from working with individual governments on subjects like using lean to improve processes, to speaking with government associations like the Association of Washington Cities. We also do presentations to national groups like the National State Auditors Association. But, Mike, let me give you a number: 15,536. That's the total participants for those events in which SAO took part. That represents a 27% increase in event participation over the previous fiscal year.
That's incredible. That's terrific that we're out there sharing our expertise and, partnering with other colleagues in good government. 2 more numbers to go. Next number is 692.
So we had 692 submissions to our Citizen Hotline program. So any citizen can report their concerns to us and we'll review them. Not every submission is what we would call an audible issue, but we always follow up with folks who submit a concern, and many times we are able to take a look at their issue in an upcoming audit. And here's a little known fact: you can also use a Citizen Hotline to complement outstanding achievements or particularly well-run programs, and to share suggestions for ways to improve operations.
Okay, and last but not least, the number is 1,061.
That's the number of requests from governments to our help desk. Our help desk provides guidance on questions relating to accounting, reporting, and compliance. We partner with local governments to help them accurately report their finances or any other internal control questions they may have for us. So that's all part of us providing accountability and transparency for Washingtonians.
Okay, well, that was really, really interesting and insightful. Kelly, thank you so very, very much for your time. I really appreciate it. As always, to learn more about any of the services or work provided by the Office of the Washington State Auditor and how we benefit Washingtonians, you can visit our website at sao.wa.gov. Thanks for listening.